You know what's supposed to happen. I'm supposed to look at your young faces, and I'm supposed to say that society needs you. Yes, that's what I'm supposed to say. And I'm supposed to say they need your energy, they need your talent, they need your new ideas. Well, given that we live in a world of multiple disruptions, with fracturing occurring all over the place, the labor market is fracturing, good jobs disappearing, great jobs arising, poor jobs arising, technology changes, marketplaces are disrupted, new marketplaces created. Disruption, it's a real word, you've heard it before, but it's also true. Fracturing everywhere. Even the polar ice caps are fracturing, and we have got climate change to cope with. We have political systems which are fractured so badly that the government of the United States does no longer have actually function. So, ladies and gentlemen, surely we need new ideas in this nearly chaotic world. But here's the problem. Does the world actually want your talent, energy, or new ideas? They need it. There's no doubt they need it. I think they need it. They say they need it. They say they even want your talent. But do they really? Or are they, in a dozen different ways, subtly shaping your brain, making it very difficult to actually affect any significant change until you get old? You should be appalled by the circumstance that you have to get old before you make a significant contribution to human society. Now, by old, I mean 40. From my perspective, you're still a semi-child, but never mind. You should be offended by the thought that you'd have to wait so long to make your mark in the world. So, let's look at all the different ways society is going to try to slow you down. So, how do they do this? Well, the first thing they tell you is, we need innovative problem solvers. They want you to solve problems. For those of you tempted to do a startup, somebody's going to say, so, what problem are you solving? If you're employment, your employer will expect you to solve problems. You'll be in interviews. You'll talk about the skills of your problem-solving skills. You'll cite your computer programming languages. You'll do this before you cite the human languages you know. You do, by the way. But that's terrible advice, right? Right? You are not supposed to be problem solved. You're not supposed to solve problems, right? Don't look at me like some of you look like you write that on your resume, effective problem solver. Please. No. Everyone solves problems. Like, how brilliant is that to say, yo, I solve problems. By the way, keep breathing. Well, no, but it's a scale of the device. Keep breathing. I would like you to keep breathing. Otherwise, you're going to disrupt my presentation by keeling over. So keep breathing. Be a problem solver. That tells you absolutely nothing about what you need to do to have a great career. Nothing whatsoever. What you need to do, of course, is to solve important problems. One lousy word. Important problem, not a problem. Not any old problem. That's what regular people do, solve problems. That's what the millions and millions of employees on the planet do, are solve problems. And you know what? Solving problems will not stop you from being downsized, terminated, turfed, or given no wage increase. And it's certainly, solving a problem is not going to get you promoted, because everyone around you is doing the same thing. So your standard's got to be, you solve the important stuff. And then the employers. They drive me nuts. You drive me nuts too, but the employers drive me even more nuts. They say, unimpressed with young men and women today. Don't like the millennials. They don't have substance, don't have, they're hard to get along with, they have funny expectations. Basically, they don't make major contributions to the organization. Okay, well, Then I'll hear another employer say, you guys are so arrogant. You enter the workplace with all sorts of suggestions. So excuse me, you either have no suggestions, according to some employers, because you're entitled millennials who are worried about your holidays, or you're arrogant and you actually enter the workplace with too many ideas. So like, excuse me, 1 minute you have no ideas whatsoever, and the next minute you get too many ideas that are giving the corporation indigestion. Do you ever get the feeling that the corporate world isn't quite sure what they want of you? You're right. They're not sure what they want. So because of this, we're not getting very far. So what society needs you to do is solve important problems. Yes, important ones, not minor ones. And don't say it's important to me. I mean important to the marketplace, I mean important to society, and don't you dance on the fact that the word important has, different connotations to it. We're using the plain English sense that it's really a big deal for a lot of people. Now, the only difficulty with this is you're really bad at it. No, you really don't solve important problems very well, or at all. So, when the employer is complaining about you got too many ideas and you arrogantly arrive in the workplace 3 minutes into your work term or your regular employment and you've got like 5,000 suggestions and they're all stupid ones, the employer is actually most of the time right. So, yes, I know I'm a cheery kind of person here at the end of the afternoon, but maybe I believe we speak truth to the young. Maybe the young need the truth more than old people need the truth, because you're starting. And I don't care if this seems discouraging. How could the truth be discouraging? And I, at least, respect the truth. So, most of the time you're going to fail to solve important problems, even though we need you to solve them. And why is that? Oh, come now. In your heart, you know why. There are several reasons. So let's confront them. Let's spend the rest of the afternoon confronting all your imperfections. Well, just, this seems to me, I'm going to get rid of my frustrations anyways by doing this. First, you're your own worst enemy, and one of the first things you lack is patience. Don't tell me you're going to solve an important problem and you have no patience. Patience. Look, describe your best characteristics. Ask that of a young person. I have, for all sorts of reasons, over years and years and years, and I almost never have the young person say, well, I'm especially patient. It doesn't even occur to you to cite that as a positive characteristic. We will discuss enterprise ideas. I will talk about an important idea where there is a huge marketplace for it because it's urgently needed. You'll trundle off, come back 3 days later, tell me you and your friends spent a drunken weekend and you couldn't think of a solution, so give me another problem to deal with. A weekend. All right, you don't say it was a drunken weekend, but I can infer most of the time it was. You brainstormed. What on earth that crazy word means, you brainstormed. With almost no information in your head, you brainstormed. And then if you couldn't suddenly have a cataclysmic revelation, you move on. Your impatience is going to limit the application of your talent. And that's simply a fact. Look, regular people are, that's not the right word, older people are impatient. It's a characteristic of human behavior, except the young are even super more impatient. And understand why you are. There's a reason for your impatience. There's a reason why most men and women are impatient. It is because many thousands of years ago, you were walking down a trail, and there in front of you was a shadow, and you thought to yourself, oh, I wonder what that is. Possibly that's an animal about to eat me. Possibly it's my dinner. Let me carefully analyze all the problems, this problem, and all my alternatives, and I will decide. You've been eaten. You took too long to decide. In our primitive world, we were hardwired. You know. You're about to be educated, men and women. You know. You know the old rule, the genetic rule, hardwired into your brain. Danger, danger. Which, of course, is the flip side of opportunity. Fight or flee. You puzzled over it. I will not get to pass your genetic material on since you hesitated. We're wired to leap to conclusions, to avoid danger. Eat or be eaten. But isn't it to be educated? Isn't it to override your primitive impulse to leap to conclusions? Don't you think, ladies and gentlemen? That is what your education is about. To override your natural tendency to run amok. But now notice the world you live in. Not only is it not telling you to suppress your impatience so that you could take the time to create something powerfully new. Oh, no, no. Society is telling you you deserve to be impatient. Why are you waiting for anything? Why are you waiting for anything at all? Why don't you grab your phone, shout, and ask Mother Google a question? And Mother Google will brag that it gives you an answer in a nanosecond. 2 months ago, it was half a second. Now it's a nanosecond. Come on. You smile. I know you smile. When it comes back fast, it may be totally wrong, but it's fast. That's the world you live in. Fast and wrong. At the very least, fast. So it's 11. Well, I know. Don't you? Yes, you giggle, but this is you. It's 11 a.m. in the morning. You decide you need a new shirt. So naturally, of course, heaven forbid you should have to wait for a shirt. So you go tap, tap, and you expect that shirt by 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You don't need the shirt by 4 o'clock in the afternoon. There's no conceivable you are not having a shirt emergency. Okay, I actually know that you want the shirt by 4 o'clock because you're sure if you get the shirt by 4 o'clock and wear it by 6 o'clock, you'll be having sex by 9 o'clock. That's also fantasy, and that's also not going to happen. You don't need it so fast. But just you can laugh. But notice how the world is putting this idea in your head. Instant gratification. You should not have to wait. Ladies and gentlemen, the only thing you need quickly are your prescribed medication. Because otherwise you'll die. You don't need anything else that fast. But now, you're even more conditioned to leap to conclusions. That's just how it is. So you make up your mind. Buy instant shirts if you must have them. But remind yourself, you will not change the world. You will not make significant, that is to say, important contribution to your employer. You will not turn yourself into a star employee until you discipline your impatience. It's not happening. Because you need to take time to understand problems. The important ones are very complicated. That takes time and patience. And you're going to have to find it, or your talent is going to be wasted. At least wasted for several decades into the future before you get old enough, before anyone trusts you. And if, by the time you are 41 and a half years old, if you still haven't learned patience by then, and you might not have, because by then, I'm sure the shirt is coming within 12 seconds by a drone. So now you're even worse off than you were, even a 40-year-old. Now the 40-year-old has no patience. Save us all. Now, I would like to think that was the only obstacle standing between you and great accomplishment that your planet needs you to do. But there is the other problem, at least as challenging as your lack of patience. That is that powerful herd instinct you have. Let us have new ideas while holding hands singing together. Let us all, in a great army, led by Mother Google, march in the same direction. Oh, come on. You want information? You know where you go. And you know how their algorithm works. They may keep it secret, and they may dance and weave and bob and do all sorts of razzle-dazzle, but it does come down to one simple idea. They give you the answer that the herd has authorized, do they not? It's driven ultimately by the popularity of the sites they take you to. Is it not, ladies and gentlemen? So now, if we were trying to create groupthink, groupthink's been a problem since the beginning of time. The community, the herd, coming to a single idea. Diversity of opinion, diversity of points of view, limited. And now, the technology takes your brain, and now I can massage you into the herd more efficiently, more effectively than I ever did before. Before, you would go into like a, what's that called, library, and you would trip over a book that you might think, yo, that's surprising. I never knew that. That's useful to me. A new idea that you never imagined you would trip over. Now, oh, God forbid you should actually have any unfamiliar idea sneak itself into your head. So you make sure you make yourself comfortable with all the popular stuff. It may work for restaurants, might even work for holiday destinations. But do you really think it works for the ideas that will show you the insights that you need to change the world? You children of the recommender engine, you. Don't look at me. See, you're looking at me like playing innocent. Doesn't work, ladies and gentlemen. I spend way too much time with you characters. Innocent indeed. Without the recommender engines, you would not know what to wear. Without the recommender engines, you would not know what books to read. Without the recommender engines, you would not know what movies to watch. Don't look at me. That you expect. Notice what the recommender engine does. Takes your brain, puts it in a straitjacket. There you are, 20. And your tastes have already been locked down by the machine. Ninja Turtle movies. Do you know what the recommender engine is going to give you? Is Ninja Turtle movies till you cannot stand another Ninja Turtle movie, but that may take 30 years. And then you know what the recommender engine does, that little crafty thing it does. You may be others. And they manipulate you and even tell you they're manipulating you. You should be offended. Instead, you think, yo, cool tech. Because it says, other people who watched this movie also watched these movies. So now, the only way we get you out of Ninja Turtle movies is because the guy sitting beside you watches Ninja Turtle movies and comic book hero movies. So now we give you a comic book hero movie because you watch comic book hero movies, and then we can treat you as a community. Another way to slice and dice the herd. So now make sure that both of you have exactly the same cultural interests, read exactly the same books. You children of the recommender engines, you. Oh, come, ladies and gentlemen, you should be offended. But you don't look offended. You look offended at your brain, your preferences. The breadth of your mind is being limited. You should be offended by that. You should lean against it. Should you not? Or just lean back, content with your role as a consumption machine, which is what that is all about. Not the expansion of your mind, not the stretching of your experiences, from which, of course, disruptive innovation comes. No, from just making sure you are never uncomfortable, knowing that you are surrounded by a billion other people who read this information, and they're just like you. Olden days, we were offended when just like you meant same skin color, or religion, or country of origin. Now, in the great advance of our understanding, We treat those examples as trivial. Now, the only uniformity we want is the uniformity of your mind. Did we really make that big an advance? Yes, sensible that we don't discriminate on stupid reasons, but we still want the herd. We still want the herd instinct. And the fact that you look different from each other does not change the fact that you're feeding on the same set of intellectual ideas and appear content to do so. Oh, please notice how primitive it all is. Still seems to work, unless you watch behind the stage machinery. So, I like soccer and gymnastics. I'll watch competition soccer and competition gymnastics because in the first place, I played soccer. Yes, a not tall person can play soccer. It's one of the games that I am not discriminated against. And I wanted to practice gymnastics in my secondary school, but I was afraid I'd fall and break myself into pieces. So I didn't because I was too scared. So now I still watch gymnastics, competition gymnastics, Olympic-style gymnastics. And sometimes I will ask YouTube to give me some recent gymnastics competition. It's good stuff. So I watched that. And then I was looking at a competition, real gymnastics. And there was a suggestion, the suggestions, that dreaded suggestions. But this was called Gymnastics Challenge. I thought, what the hell is Gymnastics Challenge? I hadn't heard of it, and in order to inform myself more about Gymnastics Challenge, I clicked on it. Oh, my Lord. It was a short video with millions of views, which is, I suppose, why Mother pushed it in my face, of a couple of wacko teenagers, shirtless, not indeed doing gymnastics challenge. It was macho, I can do a headstand longer than you can. Like, that's stupid male behavior. Oh, good grief, and moved on. And you know what happened next, don't you? Unless you don't watch your screen critically. You know what happened later. The next time I went on to YouTube, for whatever reason, there, my whole screen is filled with shirtless young males. Some of them doing gymnastics, and some of them not. Now look, if you want to look at shirtless young males, go ahead. I care not to. So, Mother Google is very excited about AI. You know what my answer to that is? They had better be. Yes, you see, I pay attention to what happens when I'm online. Do you? I work in the entertainment industry, and I have student ventures also in the entertainment industry, so I pay attention to what's going on in the entertainment industry. And one efficient way to get information, current information about the business side of the entertainment industry, is the Los Angeles Times. They run a very excellent coverage of the business, especially of the movie industry, because after all, it's a hometown big business there. So I go to the LA Times online. I have to click on entertainment and have to click on business news within entertainment. That's very sensible, efficient way to get information. And then I watch what happens, what ads get pushed in my direction. Of course, I'm using my UW address. I don't need multiple identities to hide what I'm up to. And of course, I get ads from degree mills, on the assumption I can't actually get my university degree finished, so I can buy one from an overpriced Yankee private school, so they send me those. And the other ads they send me with extraordinary regularity are plastic surgeons based in Toronto. And you know why? Because I go to the entertainment section so often, I must want to look like one of the stars. Ladies and gentlemen, that's positively primitive. And you know what scares me? Soon it won't be. And you'll be manipulated even more effectively. I at least can see tangibly where the plastic surgery ad came from and where the shirtless guys came from. And I can discount it as having anything to do with me whatsoever. But as it gets better, as machine learning gets better, oh my word, are we going to take the herd and tighten its embrace on your mind? And then we will lament the relative failure of innovation, will we not? Ironic would it not be if all this extraordinary, promising technology, which has huge potential, turns into making true the old Chinese aphorism. The nail that stands out gets hammered down. Oh my, how about a theme for our future world to inspire innovation? I must draw this to your attention. I am describing your behavior. I am not describing it incorrectly. Now you can override it. You'd have to be conscious of it. You have to be conscious of the strings being pulled to make you do things. I don't care about the things you do. I more care about the things you think. Or, of course, don't think, because your brain has been massaged into a smooth, homogeneous mix, no matter where you live, and no matter other distinctions. At the University of Waterloo, we're at least trying to make some changes. We're setting up a problem lab whose sole purpose will be to help students find and understand important problems. And if it's not an important problem, we will have nothing to do with it. We're also working with our co-op employers. Small flicker of good signs, as employers are also noticing the inconsistency of their previous approaches. And we have two employers, RBC and Baker McKenzie, that have agreed to hire a team of co-op students and to give them a strategically important task that the university and the employer jointly decide upon. Small steps to try to lean against these tendencies. But when we offer these jobs, and whether schools and universities try to do the equivalent thing and offer really good jobs, jobs that invite you as young men and women to do innovative work, will you rise to the challenge or all run to the most obvious choice? I was discussing this challenge with Elon Musk the other day, and he look at you. You suddenly got attentive. Some of you actually moved in your seats. It's like so cool, like really and truly. Ladies and gentlemen, you're predictable as all get out. Don't do this. I mentioned the word Elon Musk, and I could see some of you leaning for, oh goodness, what pearls of wisdom from the genius disruptor of Silicon Valley. I'm talking about herd reaction, and then you exhibit herd reaction, like while I'm saying don't do herd reaction. Like, this should scare yourself about this. Do you know, it drives Larry Page crazy that see, you're doing it again. Like, don't be so predictable. Your reactions should not be so predictable. I do know perfectly well, standing on the stage was Elon Musk, the balcony would be open. You know that for a fact. Notwithstanding his, I won't finish that sentence because it'll give me indigestion. So, ladies and gentlemen, what are the consequences of all of this? It is the challenge to your generation, because you are the internet generation, for better or worse. You grew up with this. And we're getting it better and better to making you impatient, getting you better and better with ever more sophisticated tools that join the herd. And your talent will be wasted, while the great urgent problems of society are left to the old people. We're getting tired. We need your contribution. And only one way that's going to happen. So, the herd instinct, also genetically wired into you. Also what an educated person can override. That's why you have higher brain function, by the way. That's its purpose, to override the primitive part of your head. But there's another old virtue you will need if you are going to override these primitive impulses in our modern world. Modern. We still live in dark and primitive times, driven by the primitive part of your brain. So how will you override it? You know what I'm going to say, too. Something your grandmothers would have told you. Work hard. No, not work hard. Of course you have to work hard, otherwise you're a loser. That's not the part what your grandmother says. No. You know what you need to do. Have courage. Takes courage to stand apart from the herd. Takes courage to try to provide leadership to the herd. It takes courage to stand to one side and listen to the herd laugh at you. It takes courage to be patient, to commit yourself to an endeavor, a train of thought or investigation that may take you 5 years to bring to fruition. So you know that old virtue? Courage. So you need to find it. No courage, no big deal innovation. No courage, the herd will rule. No courage, it'll be the impatient herd which changes its mind every 3.5 seconds while it runs in circles. But there's another way. But it is the courage way. I, of course, refuse to wish any of you luck in your future. You wish luck only to those who are idiots. Luck is the first refuge of the incompetent. It is. By contrast, I wish you success in finding the courage you need to change the world. And outside this theater, part of the world is waiting. And will you look in the Enterprise Hall, for example, with wide open, courageous eyes, or walk through thinking, God, this doesn't look like anything Facebook would care about? Your choice, ladies and gentlemen. I do truly wish you success. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.